Hello, everybody, and welcome to the entertainment headquarters, and welcome to Television Chronicles, my segment on the channel dedicated to all things television and streaming. And today is a day I've been very excited for because we're now about to talk about one of the greatest television shows ever made, that has a legacy that continues today, that still has enormous reach, and it is a show that is much loved by two of my amazing guests. So, first and foremost, we have my best friend, also a super fan of this particular show, the lovely, I call her Jill Bada Neilson.
Hello.
And then, of course, we have Anthony Jordan of Anthony Jordan's Movies and Gaming. And finally, the show we're about to talk about, of course, it needs no introduction, but it is, of course, The Sopranos. So, The Sopranos, when this came out, it was a ratings super hit on, national television. HBO Max, before it became like, it was already on its way to being like such a stellar and memorable television channel. It had massive shows like Sex and the City, obviously Sopranos. It had, I think, it was The Wire. I don't know if you've seen that one as well.
Even though it was a mini-series, Band of Brothers.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
Band of Brothers.
Oz.
So, massive success. But The Sopranos was beaten, like, this was on television. It was beating all the cable network rated shows. It became a phenomenon. And I seen the show first. Soon as I watched the first episode, bang, I was hooked. Soon as I seen this opening in the soundtrack right at the beginning, I was like, this is a show I'm going to enjoy. And then I had the pleasure of introducing The Sopranos to my best friend, Jill. So, Jill, tell me if you can remember very far back, when you first seen The Sopranos for the first time, your initial reaction.
I loved it. I did, but I think I wasn't as into it. I really enjoyed it, but it was actually during lockdown when I started. Obviously weren't going anywhere, so started watching loads of telly, binge watching things, and I watched it again, and I don't know, I was really hooked into it, and then it's just from then watched it. I don't know how many times, basically on repeat.
Now it's definitely, I would definitely say you have surpassed me with the amount of times you watch this show. You are like such a huge fan. You remember the plot from beginning to end of everything. You know one line from each character. You've got nearly every pop vinyl of every Sopranos character. And of course, the tie-in with this, last month you and I had the pleasure of going to Talking Sopranos, the conversation, which we went to. That it was a dream of yours. You never thought in a million years you would be sitting in a room with two amazing, talented actors from your, one of your all-time favorite shows, and you finally got to do it. And it was such an amazing experience. We had a brilliant time there. Picked up some merch while we were there. Boom. But
you showing that photo?
Well, you look stunning, darling, stunning. But we had a great time with that show. And then, of course, we go to my other good friend, Mr. Anthony Jordan. You obviously were born in you had a little bit of your youth in New Jersey before you moved. And then you started watching this show, and it brought a lot of memories back to you. So what was it like your first time watching The Sopranos?
Well, my first time, I just kind of went into it like, okay, I know all the hype around this show, and I'm going to put that in the back of my head. And why I did like the first episode, I found it a little hard to get through. And although overall I found the first season uneven in places, I enjoyed it, and spending the first 18 years of my life in New Jersey, it was very cool and interesting to see not just New Jersey, but the New Jersey I grew up and represented.
Yeah, well, yeah, like especially at the Jersey Shore, the Turnpike and all of that. And Jill's got a fascination with New Jersey. You would love to one day get to go and visit New Jersey.
Yeah, if I went to New York, could do the Sopranos tour, and
yeah. She wants to put a tent outside the Sopranos house. That's how much of a super fan she is. But yes, let's talk a little bit about Sopranos. So The Sopranos, an American crime drama television series created by David Chase. The series follows Tony Soprano, a New Jersey mafia boss who has panic attacks. He reluctantly begins seeing psychiatrist Dr. Jennifer Melfi, who encourages him to open up about his difficulties balancing his family life and his criminal life. Other important characters include Tony's family, mafia, colleagues, and rivals, most notably his wife Carmela, played by Edie Falco, his protege Christopher Moltisanti, played by Michael Imperioli. See there, Jill, I got the name right for once.
You did. Well.
And his uncle Coriando Jr. Soprano, played by Dominic Chianese. Is that right?
Chianese.
Right. Chianese, right. So, Jill, I'll let you talk a little bit about the first season and your favourite moments from season 1.
Well, I think my favourite moments are the bits with Livia and Junior, because I love his mum. She's horrible, but I think she's hilarious. Just some of the things she says, and obviously he's Junior and Livia are plot to get him killed in the first season as well.
And now she pretends she's got like Alzheimer's, and that
she doesn't know who Meadow is, like a granddaughter or AJ. And I just like those whole scenes with her and Junior. I just love. I think it's really funny.
Well, she's quite cunning and quite devious.
She's really evil. She's a psychopath, really. She's like got a borderline personality disorder.
A bit like myself.
Yeah, but I love the just everything about her, and she's just so dramatic as well. She makes Tony feel like really guilty, and she just loves every minute. It's just the thing she says when she says the phone was ringing last night. And he's like, well, who was it? She's like, I don't answer the phone after dark, and just like daft little things. So like, it's like, why? I get not answering the door after dark, but why not the phone? I think the first season, I love that because she's in it.
Yes,
it's a shame she
and
passed
the actress
away.
who plays who plays her is phenomenal as well.
Yeah, Nancy Marchand. Yeah.
Yes, and Nancy. I was going to say Nancy Marchand's just phenomenal. She was perfect for that role.
Yeah.
Anthony Jordan, your first season. So, like I say, how we're going to do this, we're just going to talk about each season, a little bit about the plot, and obviously our favourite moments. So, Anthony, what did you think of the first season and your favourite moments?
Just like overall getting to like know the characters. I agree with what Jill said with his mother, and like I did find like in the first episode, I thought it was hilarious when she was on the phone with him and the fire started.
Oh yeah, with the mushrooms, yeah.
It just made that just like the great little character moments, and just like getting introduced to the characters. Like, it didn't take long for Paulie to become my favorite character.
Yeah,
well, Paulie. I just love about it. It's not even as much like the verbal acting his actor did, but just how expressive he is. I love Paulie just for the facial expressions alone.
The thing is with Paulie, he basically he's not actually acting, he's literally playing himself. He literally is given a script every season. He reads the script, picks up his lines, goes on set, does his hair with his can of hairspray, the say action, and then he just acts out the lines as himself with his actual real personality.
Like his mannerisms, and everything.
And his manner, that is exactly who he is. And
that character is basically like he's a germaphobe and all this, and he's quite like OCD, and that's what he was actually like.
Yeah, that actually added real life elements of who he is in real life to actually expand on his character. And I just think that's just remarkable that David Chase and the writers seen him. And I'm sure he went to audition for something in The Sopranos, if I remember rightly from the Talking Sopranos conversation we went to. And they basically turned around and said, well, we don't think you're suitable for that role, but we're going to make a role for you. We're going to.
I think it was Junior. I'm sure he auditioned for Junior.
I can't see that.
Yeah.
No, well, I can't see any of the characters playing anyone, like any of the actors playing anyone else but the characters that they are.
No, what's fun is Silvio's actor and the actor that played his friend that ran the restaurant. They both auditioned for Tony.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
it's like it's just hard to imagine it.
Yeah, I don't think it would have worked. They were all perfect for the roles that they were in.
They just got better in them as time went on.
Yeah, so Tony Sirico, like you say, who plays Paulie, like that role of Paulie was created for the show, which I just find phenomenal. And in Silvio Dante, who plays Silvio Dante, who's played by Steven Van Zandt, he was a musician, never ever had ever had the experience. The experience as an actor, or even thought about becoming an actor, but because of him being Italian and because he had like that swagger, so there's the four our main guys from the first two seasons. Even he had no real acting experience. He was like, "You want me in your show?" And he just nailed the audition. And I think they actually came up with the character of Paulie, and they came up with the idea of Silvio for those actors because they wanted them in. So they actually in the show, or what they might have done is they might have had other characters, but because it didn't fit them, they reinvented or they rewrote these characters, edited them a bit so they would fit the actors who were going to portray them.
Yeah.
And obviously you've got Michael Imperioli there who plays obviously Michael Christopher, sorry, who plays, and then you've got Big Pussy.
Yeah.
Who is phenomenal. In the end, I had a soft spot for him, and I felt really sorry for him for season 2. Part of us did. I don't know why. But my favourite part of season 1 is right at the beginning, where Tony, he has his first panic attack, and he sees the ducks. And one of my favourite moments of Tony Soprano, played fantastically by the one and only James Gandolfini, who was just phenomenal. May rest in peace. Miss him every day. The world's a little, he's changed television acting forever, in my opinion. But going back to it, the scene where he sees the little ducks and he has the panic attack, and then he goes to Dr. Melfi's office, and then he starts talking about the ducks. Keeps bringing the ducks up. And it was like a metaphor for him and his life and his family and the kids leaving the nest and, the lifestyle. I just thought it was very, the metaphor behind it all, I just thought was brilliant. Yeah. And obviously every aspect of the character. And then I knew after watching the first season in that moment that we were going to have real serious criminal moments with the mafia side of thing. But I knew as well going forward after the first, we're going to go on a journey with him, a personal journey as a human being and as a character and as a father and as a husband and obviously the boss. So for me, it was straight off the beginning. I knew this was going to be a show I was going to follow through right from beginning to end because of him and his performance.
Yeah.
So season 2, Jill, your favourite, the story and your favourite moment of season 2.
Oh, God. I'm trying to think.
Put you on the spot, haven't I?
You have. It's
because season 2 basically.
Isn't that the one where she passes away? Actually, I like the test stream when Tony has these suspicions that Big Pussy is a rat. I think that's season 2, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's at the end, isn't it? Where he has they've been out for a meal. They've been at like an Indian restaurant, and then they end up going into Vesuvio's owned by Artie, and they have like mussels and things. And then Tony wakes up and he's having like these really weird dreams, and it turns out he's got food poisoning. And then he comes to the conclusion that obviously Pussy is the rat. And in Funhouse,
the fish in the dream tells him.
Yeah, when he has that dream where he's on the boardwalk, I'm assuming it's in Atlantic City.
At Asbury Park.
Oh, is it? Okay. Where he has that dream. I find it quite creepy because there's a bit where he looks up and there's like clown painting on the graffiti on the wall. And then you just see Junior kind of peeking out. I found it quite.
Is that clown painting you're talking about? That big smiley face.
Yeah.
That place was called the Palace, and it was like a fun house. And that's
what the episode's called, isn't it?
Smiley face was like a big landmark. They tore that down in 2004, and the face was known as Tilly. Before they turned the building down, they actually cut that out of the wall and had it restored.
Oh, right.
Oh, nice. See?
Got a lot of knowledge to bring. But I found that really creepy. But then when he goes and he sees all the fish, and one of the fish starts, it's Pussy's voice talking to him, and it's like $4 a pound. And just like, and then he just obviously flips the table, and I love that. And then obviously it is sad when they go, him and Silvio and Paulie, to his house. He's in bed. I think Pussy knows that something's up. And when he's downstairs, Tony's like rummaging through all of his drawers to see if he can find the wire. She does, and then saying like, come and see my new boat. And I find it sad when they do eventually kill him. And then Paulie takes the rings off him and all the jewelry. But I like that. I do like that episode.
What about you, Anthony?
Among other things, some of my favorite stuff is just, and this is consistent throughout the series, but any scene with Tony and Janice together.
Yeah.
I love their dynamic because even though they can be at each other's throats, it's also some of the most just legitimate connective moments Tony has through the series when they're actually getting together. I mean, getting along. And again, the dream one, I really love that because Asbury Park, New Jersey, that building they were at in the background is the Asbury Park Convention Center. From spring of 2004 to late summer, beginning of fall 2004, I actually didn't only live in Asbury Park, but I pretty much lived right across the street. Like, if the convention center was here, I was across the street over here. So the areas where they were walking, seeing that face and stuff, I walked those spots many a time. So for me, that was just so cool. I know that. I know where that is. I've been there. That just that was probably my favorite moment in the series for that alone. It just brought a ton of memories back to me.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like nostalgia.
In season 2, they introduced it to Janice, his sister.
Mm-hmm.
And she, for me, was just as evil as Livia.
Yeah.
I think they brought her in, and when they brought her character in, they expected her to just maybe be a one-off character, or after, the passing of Olivia and the actress who plays her passes away. I think that they consciously decided to create Janice into like that kind of character for Tony to combat with.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was really interesting and really great. And that moment where it is the end of the second, where she kills her husband, kills
Richie April.
Richie.
I was going to talk about
him. He punches her in the face, and then she just goes away, comes back with a gun and shoots them. Mm-hmm. But Richie deserved to die as well, because he had secretly kind of been plotting to get.
He wanted Junior to basically kill him and get him out of the picture. But I loved. But so Tony ended up knowing this, because I think Junior decided he was better off with Tony than Richie, because he said he just couldn't. He was trying to sell cocaine and stuff on the garbage routes, and he couldn't do it. He said, I'm better off with Tony. So Tony knew, and he was planning. And I'm sure in that episode, is it The Knight in Shining Armour? He was going to he was going to get Silvio to go and kill him, but obviously Janice did it for him. But I love Richie April. I think he's really funny. Just like when he goes, I think it's full leather jacket, when he has some jacket that he took off some gangster apparently.
I was going to say that's one of my favourite episodes.
Oh, and he's like,
in Tony's face.
He's like, what's this? And he's like, what's this? It's the jacket. just the way he says it. He's a funny character. Like, you don't know what's gone on with him in prison, because he's really weird about sex and things. And I really liked his character.
He could have been abused in prison, because he doesn't like to talk about it. So that's he could have been, sexually abused potentially in prison.
I know somewhere in it, Tony, when he's talking to Melfi, does say that if you're in for more than 10 years, you're allowed, you get a pass basically to obviously have sex with the other prisoners. And he goes, I was only in for like however long, like less than 10 years. Like, he makes sure he says that. But then Richie I think he was in for 20 years. So, and he has to have the light off. There's a point where he has the light off at his welcome back party and things. But I did like, he was funny.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And then the sad part at the end is where you see Pussy meet his end. Gets, and I like how he goes, just don't hit the face.
Yeah, keep my eyes, isn't it?
So they blow him away, and that scene is brutal in itself. So I hinted before, I did kind of feel sorry for him in a way, but you, Jill, is sympathetic. So why would you say he deserves it?
Because like they say, like he was willing to like rat them out and get them all obviously arrested, because he couldn't do it
out the jealousy.
30 years.
But then I think by the end he regrets it, and he knows there's no way of going back.
Yeah.
That time where he's got his mic on and he's sitting crying, and
he's talking. It's AJ's confirmation, and he's talking about how his dad's a stand-up guy and would take a bullet for him. But then on the other hand, he's talking to the FBI, his FBI colleague, supervisor, whatever they're called, and he's basically calling Tony, saying he's, what's he ever done for me? Just his slave and blah blah. So he kind of goes back and forth of how he feels.
His death was probably the most important moment to Tony's development, because he really changed after this.
Yeah.
And I love the fact
like
different ways it goes on to haunt all three of them.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was like because it was like his childhood friend he grew up
was his
with.
best friend, yeah. So I think if you can do that, then yeah,
you can do anything.
Anybody. But also there's a part in that series as well that was quite sad, even though again this person probably deserved it because it would happen if he'd done this. But Matthew Bevilacqua, who was Christopher's friends, they were like associates, and they end up shooting Christopher, and Sean, I think, was the other guy that shoot him.
Oh yeah, they shoot him, don't they? Because they're trying to work the wheel.
Yeah, and obviously then Sean gets killed. Christopher manages to shoot and kill him, but then Matthew gets away. So they're obviously Tony and that are looking for him. They eventually find him, and him and Pussy go to wherever he is. They take him into this like closed, it's like a little kiosk, like shop. And when they kill him, and when he's like shouting like, "Mommy, no, Mommy," and I just thought it was really quite sad. And they just shoot him, and then Tony's in the mall and he sees a little boy shouting for his mom, like he's lost.
And he immediately thinks of him.
Yeah, that was sad. I find that's quite sad, isn't it?
Yeah. So season 3, Jill, favorite moments in
season 3. Well, everyone's going to say Pine Barrens, aren't they? Really, that is one of the best episodes.
That was hilarious.
What? I know.
The time back and the stories that they're told at the Talking Sopranos.
Yeah. Just obviously Christopher and Paulie, the way they argue and bicker like a married couple lost in the Pine Barrens.
Those two should never have been left alone unsupervised.
No, I know, because it happens quite a lot in the series, in the Sopranos, where they're always kind of at each other. But it's just great. Like, I love Paulie loses his shoe, so they find a van, he rips the carpet up, he's wrapping that round, and finds some mayonnaise and tomato sauce, and they're just arguing, and his hair's all over the place. And Tony's obviously going out with Gloria Trillo in this season, who is crazy. She's batshit crazy. And a lot of qualities of like his mum. And he's at her house, she's making him a meal, and Paulie and that keep ringing him, saying, "Well, he out here," and the signal's going. And obviously Tony loses it and leaves. And so they have to go and obviously try and find them. And obviously then this whole fight happens with him and between Tony and Gloria, and you see a crazy side coming out, and she throws the bit of steak off his head. But yeah, that episode, obviously that's one of the best in season 3, definitely for me. But also there's an episode where Carmela's struggling with a relationship with Tony, and she goes to see this Jewish psychiatrist because she'd been going with Tony for a couple of times to see Melfi together. And she goes on her own, and she said, obviously, I can't treat you because of I'm treating your husband. So she recommends this Jewish psychiatrist. And it's just funny because he's telling her basically, you need to leave him, take the kids, because you'll always be basically like an accessory. You know, it's blood money. And she's upset, and it's like she realizes, and you think, you know, she's going to maybe really consider this, and she tries to pay him. He's like, I'm not taking your money because it's blood money. And she just goes home. She's lying on the settee, and Tony comes in, says, "Are you depressed?" and blah blah blah. And she wants him to give some money to Meadows College. And then they just kind of go out, decide to go for a meal. I don't know, I just like that, because you think, you know, she's got a conscience, but it just shows actually she's quite ruthless as well, Carmela.
Yeah.
She knows.
Yeah, I also remember Is it the second? It is the second season where she wants Meadow to go to a college, and she sees her neighbour, and sister is like high up in the college, and so she go and she's basically trying to force her to write a recommendation letter. And you see that ruthlessness in her, but she's still got that smile on her face.
Yeah.
And it's like you do see, like, because she kind of, even though she's, the mother, but she knew who she was getting into bed with.
Yeah.
She knew the lifestyle that she was, getting drawn into. And as much as she moans and she complains that Tony's got gumars all over the place and how he makes his money, and she tries to act like this, this.
But she loves the money. So
so she acts like she's like this higher than mighty kind of above it all character, but underneath it all, it's just as ruthless as she wants to be is what Tony is.
She knows.
She's got a conscience, but she knows when to turn it on and off.
Yeah, and use religion. Use a religion as well. She's only religious basically when it suits.
Definitely.
The actress did a great job, but I just found the character very frustrating.
Yeah, I do like her, but
but maybe that was the point. Maybe her character was meant to be frustrating.
Oh, it is. It's definitely she played it perfectly, but she's a hypocrite.
Yeah, like she wasn't like the get off my screen frustrating. She was she was a great character, and she was written to be that frustrating, and it worked.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Anthony Jordan, your favourite moments from season 3?
Well, the more of the therapy scenes, the stuff with Tony and Gloria, and of course, just why not Pine Barrens? Just that whole episode was gold from beginning to end, and it just kept getting better. Getting stranded, the guy getting away, finding out he's an ex-commando, Tony, Paulie making a makeshift shoe out of carpet from the van, then he gets mad after tripping and he pulls the shoe off and shoots it. But that whole episode was just gold, and it's like such a great self-contained episode. You can show someone without showing anything before or after, and it works well by itself.
People were asking me about the Sopranos years ago, and I think I mentioned the pineapples episode, and I think I showed them like a picture like that. And you went, I've got to watch this show because it sounds so hilarious, but it wasn't. Obviously, it's quite dark and gritty, but he generally actually fell in love with the show, but he actually started watching the show because I mentioned the Pine Barrels episode. So that shows you the impact in that episode and the craziness of the plot and those characters. But it's also the performances.
Yeah.
There's great chemistry with the actors, Michael Imperioli and Tony Sirico. It's Christopher and Paulie. They're just phenomenal. And you can understand why, for the most part, they lasted the full 6 seasons. Because as you know, a lot of people talk about Game of Thrones and how nobody was safe throughout a season or a show. You didn't know who was going to die. But I think Sopranos was very much like that. You could have a fan favourite character who was wiped out, and you were totally gobsmacked that they killed off a much-loved character, or a character you were developing, appreciation for, and they would be gone.
Yeah.
My favourite moment, of course, is also the Pine Barrels season episode. I should have mentioned, I also quite liked the season 2 stuff with Christopher, where he was trying to become an actor, and he was, and he had seen the director, John Ferrero, and Arrow, and he basically used him to get his plot for his next film and stuff like that. Like, just stuff like that for me, it stands out, and it's more character development that I enjoy. So Jill, season 4 of The Sopranos.
It has to be the fight that Tony has with Ralphie Cifaretto.
Oh, that I
Because
hated
obviously,
Ralph.
I know, I really, yeah. Because obviously he's had a thing for him since he killed, was that in season 3 actually, when Ralph is going out with Tracy, the stripper, and
kills her.
yeah, so she obviously she just seems really nice, and she was trying to be nice to Tony and everything, and he's horrible. And she's pregnant, I think, with Ralphie's child, and she's already got one, and she's really troubled. She used to burn him with cigarettes and things like that. But obviously he does end up killing her outside the Bing. And that
Bada bing, boom.
It was also great the way they kept framing that, how they would show parallels between that character, his daughter, which
did, yeah.
it's fine when he did snap on Ralphie, then all the more believable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think there's a bit where it shows you, he thinks of she's being killed, obviously Tracy in season 3, and he meddles in the kitchen, and it shows you Tracy at the Bing when she's still alive, and then it just goes to Meadow and he's like staring at her. But obviously in season 4 he gets a horse, doesn't he? Tony buys a horse, Pio Mine.
And that's what pisses them off when Ralphie gets the horse killed, and he goes up.
Yeah.
Destroys.
But it all starts because they were kind of all right. He made him captain after season, in season 3, blah blah. Still didn't like him, but fine. But then the Pio Mai episodes, Ralphie turns up with a new groomer called Valentina, and obviously her and Tony kind of hit it off, and then and he they sleep together, and he starts dating her, and she says, Ralph's crazy, he's even with sex and everything, so she leaves him, and then he eventually tells Ralphie that he is with Valentina, and I think that's when Ralphie decides he's going to get back at him, and he obviously kills the horses, an electrical fire. You don't know what's happened or if it is arson. And then Tony goes around to see him at his house, and they just end up in this big, massive fight. He says, you killed her. You killed that fucking horse. And they just start fighting with the pans. And then Ralphie grabs the Raid, like the bug spray, sprays Tony in the face. I just think that whole fight scene was just, it was so believable. And then after that, when Christopher comes to get rid of the body, and they're upstairs carrying him into the bath, and they try to lift him, and he lifts, and then Christopher just goes, ah! And he didn't realise that he wore a wig. Ralphie wore a wig, and then they hear like a bang, and it's the bloody bowling ball falling down the stairs because they've used the bag to put his head in, the bowling ball bag. But obviously Christopher's high on drugs. It's when his drugs taking starts to get really out of control. But yeah, I love that scene.
Yeah. Anthony.
Well, I'll get into the Ralphie stuff more, but with the Ralphie stuff, I loved when his mistress contacts him. He's about some of the weird stuff Ralphie likes in the bedroom. And then Tony has to confirm, and he has to go ask his sister.
Oh yes, Janice.
That was hilarious. And
for $2,000, yeah.
I hated Ralph so much.
Yeah.
So when they finally killed him, I was like, yes! Come on. Make him suffer more.
I think that's the beauty, though, of the Sopranos. They made these bad people lovable characters you cared about, but then they also had the ability to write amazing characters that you loved to hate, and you loved when they got the comeuppance.
Listen, the wig part too. So when he pulls the head and the wig comes off. Did you know about this?
And he's like, yeah, of course. I don't know if he did, but he wasn't going to admit
it. I looked at his face and he acted like he knew, but I think he didn't. I think he was just as shocked.
He was just pretend. Yeah.
But you can tell that scene probably took several takes.
Well, we were at Talking Sopranos. And when we were talking, they talked about the backstage story of when they were getting rid of his body. And Michael Imperioli and James Gandolfini were on set near this hilltop, like at some New Jersey nature reserve, like where there's a cliff ending, and they basically told the story how they were waiting for the right lighting from the sun, like they're waiting for the set and everything to be made up. So James Gandolfini and Michael Imperioli decided to drink a full bottle of vodka. So when you know, when the set manager came to basically take them to the end of the cliff to film the scene where they hide his body over the cliff, basically what ended up happening is they opened the door of the trailer and they were that blasted that they couldn't even stand. So what they did is they had to go to some DIY shop and buy a long metal chain, tie it to James Gandolfini's leg and Michael Imperioli's leg, and cover it in leaves and twigs to make it look like it was naturally a part of the ground. And then they had to just, people are on standby like that, waiting while they film the scene, stay in the lanes while absolutely blasted drunk to make sure they didn't fall off the end of the cliff.
Wasn't this season 2 the incident with Christopher and Paulie in the parking lot with the waiter?
Was that season 2? Yeah, I think it was, because wasn't that when he, Christopher got made, I think, in season 2. So, and then you have to pay for things, apparently. You pay for all the bills, and that's what they've all had to do in the past. And he was so, yeah.
Yeah, Paulie, they kill him. Paulie takes the money. That's my money, Paulie.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, another thing in season 4, though, is obviously there's a big, massive episode, Whitecaps.
Oh, yes.
So during season 4, isn't this when Carmela starts to fall in love with Furio, who was brought over in season 2?
He's introduced because in season 2, Furio was introduced because they went over to Italy
and they're selling cars with,
and he came over with them, came back over with them, and throughout the course he's like been like the heavy of their side, of the New Jersey side of the mafia. And obviously he's always been like the heavy, muscle guy. But then as the season progressed, he didn't really have any major storyline or any pop him. But then they kind of give him this side plot with Carmela, where she now develops
season 4. She starts to, and for each other,
and he starts feeling, and he even gets to the point where he's considering bumping Tony off to be with Carmela.
See, I really wanted them to be together in a way.
The Columbus Day episode with Silvio obsessing over the protest. That plot was actually originally written for Paulie, but they rewrote it because Silvio doesn't really get much to do.
Right, so they did a similar thing. Yeah, he doesn't really, does he? He's just kind of there as the...
knowing that, looking at it, that does feel more like a Paulie-centered story.
To be obsessed over something,
But it makes me think, though, because of the two different characters, maybe because of Tony Sirico and his performances and how he's developed, became an instant fan favorite. I wonder if other characters, I wonder if there would have thought, right, we've got all these storylines for him, for his characters. My name's went blank. James Van Zant plays him. Steve Van Zant. What's his name again? Silvio, sorry. He's mind. I've got his name on the tip of my tongue. I just couldn't think of it. So, Silvio's basically, it makes me think he was going to have similar storylines or have more impactful storylines than obviously what Paulie's got. But I think because he became a fan favorite, I feel as like they put Silvio on the back burner. And then they realize, we need to give him some more depth, some more story.
Yeah. But that was good, because I think in that episode as well, but that season, obviously with Tony, with Carmela and Furio, they start to really like each other. And then he realizes that he can't do anything because he's tempted. I think they go somewhere to a casino. I think it's all to do. It's after the Columbus Day with some Indian guy who owns a casino, and they try to they're going to get in a helicopter and they're mortal drunk. Well, Tony and that is a lot, and they're standing having a wee before they get on. They're standing next to the propeller, and you just see Furio look at Tony, and he's so tempted. You know, he wants to grab his head and just he could shove it in those blades, and that would be the end. But he knows that if he did that, he'd be a dead man. So he decides to, because he obviously bought a house, he was going to start a new life there, and he decides to just go back to Italy. And so Carmela finds out at the beginning of the episode that he's gone back to Italy. She's really upset, drives to his house, he's not there, and she starts coming down with like an illness. She's really unwell. So in the Whitecaps episode, obviously Tony's trying to cheer her up, and they've been to the doctors, and he says we're going to take a detour, and they end up at the beach. And he's bought a house called Whitecaps. And then a couple of scenes later, she's doing his washing and things, and she notices a false nail, which is one of it's Valentina's, and she just leaves it on the side, and so she's seen that. And then obviously had a Russian girlfriend in the first couple of seasons, Irina, who was crazy and an alcoholic. Well, she's been drinking because I think we've missed some bits out, but like in other seasons, he was trying to do that, you know, the hood thing with the houses with the assemblyman, and obviously split up with Irina, and this assemblyman wants to go out with her, and he said, "Is that all right? And I'm dating her." And he's like, "Yeah, it's fine," but really he's not. And I think he goes to his house and he beats him with a belt in front of her. So she's obviously they split up not long after. So she's really angry. She rings the house. AJ answers, and he said it's for you. So then Carmela picks up, and it's Irina, and she's drunk, and she basically tells Carmela that Tony had slept with a cousin, Svetlana, who one leg, who looked after his mum.
Yeah.
And Tony comes back to the house, and all he can see is, you know, his blasting music in the car, and all the clothes are flying out the window onto the drive. Carmela's just ripping all his stuff out and throwing it from the bedroom window. When they go in, he goes in, and they have obviously that massive scene, the argument, which was really well acted. It was amazing.
Yeah.
You mentioned the scene with the selectmen. From what I understand with that scene, it was originally scripted for Tony to just rip all his clothes off.
Yes.
And the actor was really uncomfortable with it, so James Gandolfini went to bat for him to get the scene changed.
Yeah. So he kept his boxes on. Yeah. He wanted it off.
When we finish the conversation of the show and my favourite bits, I'm going to mention quite a bit about James Gandolfini.
But yeah, Whitecaps is
amazing,
really good. I love that episode.
Amazing. Salute to James Gandolfini, by the way. Amazing actor, love him. I've actually started buying, even though there might not be films that I would watch, I've started buying all these movies on Blu-ray and DVD if I can find them, just because I love them. I mentioned the Jill film that you haven't seen with James Gandolfini, which is Saving Christmas.
Yeah.
Another great scene in this season was when Tony had to kill his cousin to prevent Phil from torturing him.
Oh, was that not season 5?
That's season 5.
I think that's the next season, isn't it? When I know what you. Yeah.
I watched them back to back, so like they did kind of blend together.
This is me. That's why I remember stuff that we haven't mentioned from previous ones. But yeah, that's coming up. No.
We'll showcase the main 4 Tony's ensemble, but these are the guys that take up the better part of the later seasons, because we're introduced to Bobby. Is it season 5? It is season where him and Bobby have that massive fight. Or is that season 6?
Season 6.
No, it's season 6.
Season 6. Well,
season 6.
That for me, we'll talk about season 5, but that's one of my favourite episodes of season 6.
Yeah.
But we'll start with you this time, Anthony. your favourite story part and moments from season 5.
Listen, I like the whole like story with Tony's cousin, him starting wanting to go straight, then falling back into it, messing up and killing the wrong people, and now Phil wants to go after him.
Yeah.
Like that was just great, and Tony having to kill him, and just the way even after he killed him, the eyes were still open, and you can tell that was like another moment that really messed Tony up. And also, wasn't this no, that was season 6 with Johnny Sax's daughter's wedding, wasn't it? Yeah, that's right. Sax gets arrested at the end of season 5.
Yeah.
Is it Johnny Sax whose wife's a secret eater?
Yeah. Ginny.
That was it where everyone like keeps being funny about her weight, and then he's like always defending. She's trying to lose weight. She does eat healthy. She does try, and then he's late. Then he's got to go back, and he finds her downstairs like binging on her secret stuff.
Also, so for bringing up Johnny Sax, like one thing I kind of thought was like funny in a way they did it, how the New York families kept imposing on New Jersey. That was very much a New Jersey cultural thing at the time, where you even had people coming from New York, moving to smaller towns, getting elected on the council and changing things. So like that whole New York imposing on New Jersey was very much a New Jersey cultural thing of the time. So I'm like, yeah, I know what they're going for there. I remember hearing about this all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, because he moves there.
So in your mind, Anthony, the Sopranos is very much factual and very like true to its time with like the cultural and the there now.
Very much exaggerated, but like also very like spot on. Like I know I'm not Italian, but like if you're in the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, and those parts of Pennsylvania, like Italian culture is just so ingrained into just everything that it's like everyone's a little bit Italian to a degree. So yeah, I'd say even though it's exaggerated, it's also factual on that.
So did you see what your favorite moments are season 5?
It's season 5, like I said, the whole thing I said with Tony and his cousin, and when he had to kiss him, and I love the final episode when Johnny gets arrested and Tony has to run forward and throw the gun.
Yeah.
That's a brilliant. That's probably one of my where Tony's standing talking and he sees the feds coming over the property.
Yeah.
He legs it.
And he just turns, and then he turns around Johnny Sack, and he's too late. Like they catch him. Yeah.
But Johnny Saxo doesn't rat them out. He stays true, and I think that's one thing why I like that character.
Yeah, he just tried to take over, and he becomes sneaky and
as we'll get to it in season 6. Ironically, Tony was more loyal to Johnny than Phil was.
Yeah. But when
what's your favorite moment? Yeah, is season 5.
Mine. There's lots. Obviously the whole Tony, like what Anthony was saying about his cousin and how he's basically doing all these nice things for him just because he feels guilty, because he ended up in prison because of him, and he's been lying to him, saying it was he got jumped on by some black guys, but really it was he had an argument with his mom, and he had a panic attack and fell and hit his head. But that the whole scenes with Tony Blundetto, his cousin, were really good. But also it's when Adriana becomes an FBI informant.
That was going to be my favourite.
Oh, was it? Sorry.
I meant to mention that too.
I know, it's really sad. I found that whole, because I love her. I love her.
You're like, when Christopher left, I was like, I knew she was going to die, but I was like screaming at the TV, "You idiot, call your FBI contact and have them get out of here." get you out of there now. How stupid are you?
Yeah. See, I didn't, when I first watched it, I didn't think she was going to die in the end. But just the
I
whole
kind
thing
of
where
had a feeling,
Danielle
but
has
I wasn't sure. Like, I had a feeling, but I wasn't sure because you had the scene before, then it immediately
and
jumps.
she's driving in the car as if she's
Yeah.
going, just leaving. And then it's just obviously what she's thinking about, because she knows deep down that Silvio's not taken at the hospital because apparently Christopher's tried to kill himself. Yeah, she's going to meet that end. But just that whole plot line with her and how
she's
innocent she
crying and
is.
she's running and she's crawling across the
Oh,
floor.
well, that's they didn't show I get killed like other characters because of how much everybody
She was loved.
loved her, so they didn't want people to be able to see it. But you know, like when she's the coming down on her hard and she just throws up all over the table, all over them, like the FBI, and I hate that scene. But
And I'm quite happy though that they didn't make. I think it would have been more brutal if they made Paulie kill her. Because, like you say, they hadn't really given Silvio much to do throughout the course of the season, even though he's a strong character. Or he's like always like that background character that's always dependable. The fact that they give him that to do, it give you actually, you didn't know whether to feel, well, you felt for her, but then, you know, like, it feel like you were so cold in the moment, you know what I mean? Like, you had no remorse, you had nothing. It was very cold towards her.
yeah,
But I think it's like you just switch off and you do the job that's given to you. It's like a different scenario, but me working in hospice care, as much as I could just sit there and bawl my eyes out and cry for my patients and my relatives, I've got to remain strong, and I've got to put a mask on, and I've got to realize this is the job I've been given. This is the job I'm doing. I've got to do it to the best of my ability, and that's in any kind of scenario and job. But in a criminal world,
I know,
especially when it's somebody that you've known for years and you get the job that you've got to bump that person off.
I know. But it's just so
imagine if Paulie was told by Tony, you've got to bump your mother off because she's an informant.
Yeah.
Just imagine, could he do it? But would he? Because he's in that life.
And he loves his mum, so I don't know. I don't think he would. But obviously in season 5 as well, Junior has got dementia, and it's getting worse and worse. But I think it's in this season when...
Is there not when he shoots Tony?
That's the beginning of
the
season 6.
But when... what was it? There's like a really emotional scene where Tony goes around to see Junior and he's sitting watching telly. And I can't remember what happened beforehand. Oh, he keeps going on about him. He'll never be a varsity athlete and all this. And Tony's starting to get really angry before he finds out it's dementia and he can't actually help it. And he's having like mini strokes, like the TIAs. But he keeps saying he never had the making of a varsity athlete. And he gets really... Tony just gets so annoyed. But he goes around to see him after he realizes, he sees like his doctor and he says, you know, this is normal, this is what happens. So he obviously feels bad, and he goes around to see him, and he's sitting on the sofa and he just says like, why have you got to say, why has it got to be mean stuff? Why can't you say something nice? And he goes, don't you love me? And Junior is just like staring at the telly and see the tears in his eyes. And it's just a really emotional scene. And I know Dominic Chianese talks about that on a documentary after Jim Gandolfini's passed away.
I watched it and he breaks down.
Emotional, yeah.
He breaks down in
the music.
Tears because it's
a
one of the moments that he remembers fondly, and it was one of the scenes where him and James Gandolfini had the best interaction. It's like a memorable scene
really
for the scene that it is. But it was just the fact that he had that moment with James Gandolfini.
Yeah.
Or Jimmy, as he's known. Jimmy.
That's one of my favourite scenes. That's a good scene.
Yeah. There's so much in season 5 for me.
There's loads going on.
But like I say, I was going to bring it up first. My most heart-wrenching scene is the death of Adriana. Just that totally blew me away.
Yeah.
Just heart-wrenching.
I think Tony really struggles because he obviously had feelings for her at one point in a few episodes before. Well, you know, she was obviously an informant. You didn't realise, but they were getting quite close because they have that car crash as well, don't they? When they were at the Bingley or at her club, and they decided to go and try and get some coke, and it's about 2:30 in the morning, and Christopher's away somewhere, and they have a big crash, and but they have like scenes where they're getting quite close together. So I think it really hurt Tony as well.
And finally, season 6, Anthony.
Well, one of the ones that several, but the whole Johnny Sax's wedding was a great part.
Yeah.
And at the end, because of how they rush him out there and he breaks down and cries at the end, that you have Phil, which I'll get to him because there's a favorite part with him trying to solve sow dissension, and Tony was the one defending him. So it's like weird that Tony's not even a part of that family, but he was more loyal to Johnny than Phil. The fight scene with Tony and Bobby when he's making
I love that.
What I loved is, like, I feel like at this point, not even Christopher would have gotten away with his life after that. Like, Bobby, in that fight, he earned just enough of Tony's respect that Tony was going to let it slide. And my favorite moment, because he deserved it, was Phil Leotardo's death.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious because he gets shot, then the vehicle goes into trouble. You just hear the sound effect, then see
it's horrible. And she's just screaming because the babies are in the back of the car. And I like the guys standing like in the forecourt as well, and they're just like, and they're just like throwing up.
That should not have been funny, but it was hilarious.
I know. But I think I hated Phil, so I think most people probably did if they watched it. And
I've got an interesting question for you both. Who's the villain you hated the most? Ralph or Phil?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't like Phil's because obviously I think, in season 6 it's hard because obviously whoever Phil's, I can't remember his name, but the little guy who was in Boardwalk Empire as well, he's called Butch, I think, in Sopranos. They have a sit down without Phil because Phil's gone, he's on the run, he's hiding away. And he kind of says, we'll back off and things. And then obviously we can't tell you where Phil is, but if you find him, do what you have to do. So then he gets killed. But then, well, it's a big thing, isn't it? Does Tony die at the end? But I don't know. But Bobby and everyone get killed. Bobby and that obviously get killed. He gets killed. Silvio, well, he's in a coma. You obviously don't know what happens to him. But how come that all happened afterwards? And there's like rumors going around that did Paulie have something to do with it? Because earlier in the seasons he was trying to get with it, Johnny Sack, and trying to get known in the New York crew. And he doesn't want to, in season 6, he doesn't want to take, Tony's trying to promote him, give him like a really big job. And he said, I'm too old. He doesn't want to take it. And then there was somebody mentioned about barber scissors. Apparently that's a kind of a sign that somebody's going to get, like, they're going to kill somebody. I can't remember what it is. It was something about barber scissors, and Paulie comes in carrying a box of barber scissors in one of the episodes. And I don't know.
Yeah, scissors would cut the relationship.
Yeah, it's just something I think.
So there were so many rumors once the final episode ended. Who killed Tony, or did he die? Was he arrested by an informant? And there was so much chatter after the end of the last episode, and there's been so many fan theories, and the only one that truly knows what happens is David Chase.
Yeah.
But apparently, David Chase knew that was going to be the ending from the very first season. He knew that's how he was going to end the show.
Never forget another great moment is just favorite moment is Paulie's final enemy with the cat.
Yeah. Yeah, he hates that poor cat. Just the things he says as well, like you say, what he says and his mannerisms. But I also like in season 6, Paulie finds out that his mum, Nucci, isn't actually his mum, it's his aunt, and his mum's this nun. Who got knocked up by some soldier in World War II.
I just laugh because it just could only happen to Paulie.
And it's just a bit when Tony's being shot, obviously, and he's still in hospital, but he's conscious and he's up and about. And Paulie's going to see him, and Father Intantola is in the hospital, and he's like, "Oh, how's Tony?" And he's like, "He's in a lot better shape than those fucking nuns you've got up there." And it's just the way he sees. I just love that. Like, I love that when that scene like, comes out with that. It's so funny. But that's quite I like that. That's that whole storyline with Paulie, with finding out his mom's not his mom, but eventually he comes around and realizes she brought him up, all that she did for him. And
the thing that surprised me is everyone throughout the show, or the course of the show, were hoping that Tony and Dr. Melfi would eventually get together, and they didn't, which I'm quite glad they didn't. But I thought how her character ended, where she just cut him off and dissociated herself.
Yeah.
Because
she was reading that. Because our husband or our ex-husband told her that story about.
It was her psychiatrist, that Elliot Kofferberg. He said some article somebody written
that people sociopaths benefit from
therapy. And it basically going to see a psychiatrist just basically what's it?
It makes them bigger monsters.
Criminal, yeah. And they usually have like they only have feelings for like babies and animals, which Tony does throughout the season. The ducks, Pi oh my, when Meadow's going to be a pediatric doctor and about babies, he's not bothered about.
Time when he thought he was talking to the next door neighbour and it was actually his mother he was envisioning.
Yeah, it's so she finds that, she reads that and it says all this. So then all of a sudden she just turns on him. But it's weird because it's just...
I didn't like that. It just didn't feel...
No, but she didn't, apparently. Lorraine Bracco really didn't like how our character was portrayed at the end, because she said, Melfi did have feelings for him because she'd been however many years, 6 or 7 years, he'd been going. So just to then turn her back on him like that, it was just a bit... She thought it was out of character.
Well,
I would have felt the same.
Mm-hmm.
What I did like, though, was how they bookended her introduction with her end to the series with just the reverse shot of her opening the door to her office to her closing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The whole way it was shot was really... the whole series was really good. And also just all the little... it had details in it that wasn't even... they weren't necessary, but it made... It made it more real life. There were certain scenes that didn't have to be.
That's why it's got so much influence and legacy in television, and any show that's come since The Sopranos is going to try and capture what Sopranos began with.
Because it just had scenes in that were just showing them, they were real people as well, and it didn't have anything to do with the storyline. It was just showing you that they were,
that's what I said to you at the very beginning of our conversation from season 1.
Mm-hmm.
From the very first season where you're seeing the criminal activities. And I'm thinking it's not, this is just another mafia crime film or show.
Mm-hmm.
But then you got to see Tony, like I said, one of my first favourite moments is him having the panic attacks and talking about these ducks and therapy. And I knew from the very get-go I would follow the show from first season to end, because it wasn't just about his criminal activities and being in the mafia. It was showing you the human side of people in that lifestyle. And it was showing you the human element and the human side of a person in that lifestyle. And that had, as much as it was all about, fanatical, fictional crime stuff, that added real human story.
And comedy.
Comedy. And that's why I knew I had fell in love with this show.
Yeah.
Anthony, your favourite moments from season 6?
I've mentioned mine.
Oh, Jill, did you mention yours?
You started with Jill, then me, then you reversed it, so now it's Jill.
Did you? Have I not said?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I thought I have. I mean, obviously, when Tony gets shot, that's, members only, the first episode, when Junior's
I'm not excited that I'm forgetting where I am.
For those watching at home, that's how into the conversation we are, that we're just, who said what is just blending together.
We just all talk about random bit. But yeah, obviously when he gets shot, and while he's in the coma, Tony's obviously having a bit like a dream where he's Kevin Finity, I think that's his name. And the whole thing is, he's trying to get back home. And he ends up at one point where you see Tony Blundetto, like Steve Buscemi, outside the house and saying, you're home. They're all waiting for you in there. And this is like just before he obviously wakes up out of the coma. And he said, oh, you can't take that in. You can't take business in the briefcase. And you just see shadows of people. It's obviously, ghosts of his past and things and family. And then in the trees, you can just hear kids shouting. And then the next thing you know, he wakes up and Carmela and Meadow are like hovering over him. And that was like, and there was like a beacon always in this dream flashing. That's obviously, meaning that's go towards the light to come out of it. I liked that scene when he was having that, like, the coma dream. So that was good.
Oh, that's a brilliant episode.
And obviously it's really you don't know what's going to happen, if he's going to survive. But
I've got a couple of questions for you. So question number 1 would be, outside of Tony and Paulie, I'm going to say Paulie because I know he will be in the mix. Outside of Tony and Paulie, who is your favourite character throughout The Sopranos? We'll start with Anthony.
Furio and Dr. Melfi.
What about Jill?
Well, like I said earlier, Olivia. I've got a few though. Olivia, I do like Junior. I think he can be funny.
Junior's probably my favourite.
Yeah, I like Johnny Sack. I think he says some funny lines, and I do like Richie Aprile. Like he was horrible, but I did enjoy his character. He was quite funny as well. Definitely.
Yes. I liked all those characters. So I'm going to just read a little bit about The Sopranos and its impact, because let's face it, it's one of the greatest shows of all time. So The Sopranos has been hailed by many critics as the greatest and most groundbreaking television series of all time. The writing, the acting, and directing have often been signaled out for praise. The show has also received considerable attention from critics and journalists for its technical merit, music selection, cinematography, and willingness to deal with difficult and controversial subjects, including crime, family, gender roles, mental illness, and American and Italian-American culture. The Sopranos is credited for creating a new era in mafia genre, defining roles from the traditional dramatized image of the gangster in favor of a simpler, more accurate reflection of ordinary day-to-day mob life in a suburban area. The series sheds light on Italian family dynamics through the through the depictions of Tony's turbulent relationships with his mother. Edie Falco's character, Carmela Soprano, is praised. Sorry, it's a mouthful, this. So I'll start again. Edie Falco's character, Carmela Soprano, is praised in Kristen Gorton's essay, Why I Love Carmela Soprano, for challenging Italian-American gender roles. The Sopranos has been called perhaps the greatest pop culture masterpiece of its day by Vanity Fair. The first season of the series received overwhelming positive reviews following its initial airing in 1999. And it has continued to grow in popularity throughout the years and has often still been viewed as one of the most viewed television shows of all time, even today in 2025, or now 2026. But there's something I need to touch on, and I think it's very, very important, and it's very simple. It's one thing. There's one key outside of its writing, outside of David Chase, the tremendous cast. But there's one element of The Sopranos, and if they got this one element wrong, The Sopranos probably wouldn't have survived or wouldn't have made an impact. And that one element is one person, Mr. James Gandolfini, Mr. Tony Soprano himself. He is the entire show, despite it's it's a multicast show. If it wasn't for James Gandolfini, the show probably wouldn't have been as impactful as it is today. Definitely. And I want to talk about James Gandolfini because James Gandolfini, outside of filming, outside this role, he struggled with his mental health and the responsibility of this show that was on his back. He had issues with substance abuse when he was younger, and I don't know if it picked back up when he was filming this show. I'm not quite sure. But it was very difficult for his mental health, this show. But the one thing, he stayed true to himself, and he never, ever changed who he was. Throughout the course of this show, and throughout the impact of this show, he did so much to help other people beyond himself.
Yeah.
James Gandolfini was praised by writers, directors, crew members, cast members, and is thoroughly thought of in such a happy, lovable way for who he is as a person. We were at the Talking Sopranos show, Jill, that talked about where he had a contract dispute and they give him what he wanted in the end. And as a thank you to the cast, the crew, he spent over $1 million on the staff, on the crew, on the fellow cast members for sticking by him through this dispute. He paid off people's mortgages. Mm-hmm. He gave people, money to give to charity. He would give the clothes off his own back. But there's something recently I found out that I'm very, very impressed about with James Gandolfini, and it's this. And I needed to bring it up. He created this documentary, Alive Day Memories, Home from Iraq. He was so passionate about veterans, about the military, about the people that protect America, the everyday man. And because he's so impressed by them, he, of his own accord, flew out to Iraq when the Iraq War was on. He was scared.
He went with Tony Sirico, didn't he? It was Tony
Sirico
did. Well, yeah.
He actually convinced Tony Sirico to go with them to Iraq.
Right.
And
he was like, Wally on the uniform.
I know, it's actually got them.
So, he went, they went to celebrate the veterans. He did that documentary. And I watched this documentary after his death, James Gandolfini's death, and the people that he talked to on that documentary who had lost limbs in the war, who had, felt like they were less human because they had lost limbs. Like there's a one particular veteran, I forgot her name, who's a woman who literally had lost some of her fingers, and she had not long had a baby, and she was talking in the documentary, and James Gandolfini stopped the camera and just went over and hugged her and cuddled her and said, "You're going to be all right." And they have nothing but praise and love and memories of this man. So I just wanted to say all this to him, to the people who are watching, that James Gandolfini, beyond Tony Soprano, he was not just an amazing actor, but an amazing human being.
Well, I've heard too on that, like, anytime he met fans, like, he would always make time for the fans.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you were a paparazzi, he hated the paparazzi. I'm not being funny. If you seen a paparazzi, if he could, he would do this.
No one likes the paparazzi.
Yeah.
Yes, but like I say, The Sopranos is one of the greatest shows ever made. One of my favorite all-time shows. Jill, your last thoughts and moments on Sopranos?
Well, I mean, you've obviously covered a lot of it. It's just it's one of those where you end up. Well, I just love all the characters, and I feel like it's like part of who I am. I watch it all the time. Well, yeah. But no,
a boom.
Yeah, it's just one of the greatest for everything that's in it. Like you say, there's storylines, the characters, the little bits, you see like real life, the comedy, but in the music as well. Some of the songs in the whole of the series were amazing. Yeah, I just loved it. And there was one thing that I forgot to say from season 6, we didn't mention, which I thought was quite funny, was when Vito comes out as gay. And he's spotted in the nightclub in New York in the leather slacks, and he's
like that whole scene when he's going.
I know. I'm just thinking about it there. Like I think it's
like
so, the whole storyline.
I'm not being funny. You can tell he's a straight Italian actor playing a gay character.
It was really funny.
It was horrendous. Like
it's quite sad. Though. I hate that when he got killed over it. I thought, and the whole
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. But
it
the
was
whole
funny
story,
in the club.
It just felt weird. The acting wasn't the greatest in the gay scene. They should have, that's just
I made it.
And I'm an openly gay man saying that. So,
but do you think as well? Do you think Phil was in the closet? Like, was he?
I think
he actually gay himself? Was he? Because it's weird. He's obsessed, and then I don't know. And when Vito gets killed in the motel,
he was either in 2 ways.
When he's getting killed, really weird.
I think something happened to him in prison, and this was just him overcompensating for what happened to him in prison.
Right. Well, it's just the weird grabbing of the sheets.
Well, it's the same Janet. We've mentioned his name before. Janet
Richie.
Like he was so weird when he come out of prison. He was the same. So I think 2 things: he could have either secretly been in the closet, or he had a really something nasty happened to them in prison, or 3, he's just generally homophobic and just hates gays. Yeah. Which either way, he got his head crushed by a car.
Yeah, I love just all the little details, like something that can be serious but also could be really funny. It was just so well written. Like I say, one of the best. Well, the best for me TV show. And I don't think I'll ever stop watching it.
Well, we might be talking about another show you might want to talk about soon. Boardwalk Empire.
Oh yes. I haven't watched that for a long time.
We're a huge fan of that, and we're going to have to talk about one of my favourite shows, Jill, Deadwood.
Yeah.
Another HBO amazing season.
And
anyway,
some point Breaking Bad.
Oh yes, Breaking Bad. Jill loves Breaking Bad as well.
Mhm.
So, Anthony, your final thought on The Sopranos?
Just honestly, a show that I'd say lived up to the hype. It did have its like every now and then had its like low points, but it always picked back up and just I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the time. I enjoyed the characters. I loved some of the characters. I hated some of the characters, and it was never you hate these characters because they're badly written. It's you hate these characters because you're supposed to, because that's how they're written. And I just always found myself looking forward to all right, what's like the oddball funny moment that's going to happen here or there. So yeah, glad I finally got around to watching this.
And I think it did some of this, you know, it was very controversial, and some of the scenes, they were really quite disturbing, but it did them, you know, really, it did them well.
Even the people who are in crime, like the mafia, praised the show because it humanized them. It didn't just show them as villains. And I think that's why, like I said to you from day one, I loved Sopranos, because I saw the criminal aspect of it, the nasty side. Like, these are people who are nasty people that you're not meant to enjoy or sympathize with, but you ended up sympathizing with a lot of them through the storytelling because they humanized them. And that's what I loved.
Yeah.
So with that said, my final thought on Sopranos is that it will always be one of the greatest shows of all time. It still has massive reach. As Jill mentioned, she got into The Sopranos even more during lockdown, and it has discovered a new generation of fans through lockdown, because there's many fans who had generational reach from their parents, relatives, who told them the impact of Sopranos, and then decided during the impact of COVID, during the lockdown, decided to check this show out, and it's now developed a huge new appreciation and fan base in the next generation of Sopranos fans. And there's us too.
Oh my God, Kevin.
Soprano fans forever. But this has been the Entertainment Headquarters. This has been Television Chronicles. Anthony Jordan, is there anything coming to your channel soon?
No set date, but just keep an eye out because I'm going to start working on something again soon.
Nice. As for me, tomorrow night I will be live on the Entertainment Headquarters, as we're going to be talking about Jean-Claude Van Damme's Double Impact on the Retro Classic Movie Show with my co-host, Mr. DJ Anubis. But there's lots more coming in the channel. Please check it out real soon. But to my amazing friends, my bestie Jill, thank you so much for joining me and doing this with me, because I know how much you love The Sopranos.
Yep. Thank you. Yes, thanks for having us. It's been good.
Yeah. Is there anything else you would like to put out there?
No, I'll not be. Yeah, I haven't got a chance, so no, I'll not be doing one ever.
Oh, well, you can always come on mine and be my guest.
True.
And Anthony, any last words for the Soprano fans?
I think we pretty much said everything that needs to be said.
So I've got one more thing. Salute to the Soprano. Salute to James Gandolfi. Take care, everybody. This has been Television Chronicles.